Our panel this afternoon is going to talk about innovation, driving business and equality, so that innovation can be both a method and the endpoint of what you're looking to do. But how do we actually create deep change inside institutions, change that actually lasts? And so that's what our challenge is today. And we're going to spotlight some company strategies and dive into their policies and their practices and how they measure for success. So we have an excellent panel here. And again, for those of you who might not have been here this morning, their full bios are in your folder. So I only do a quick announcement of who the people are. And we have a new timekeeper who has her materials right here. So we will. I told her people will not like her by the end of this session. But we are trying very hard to have quick presentation so we can get into the discussion, because again, we do have a lot of time for discussion, which is different than most meetings. If you are sitting behind a pillar, there are some seats that are better seats if you would like them, as I don't see you often enough when you put your hand up. So if you wish to move, there are some seats around that you can take advantage of. So let's talk first about, I'm going to talk about the Inter-American Bank first, because we haven't had any of the international groups like that yet on our panel. Mr. Andrew Morrison is the Division Chief for Gender and Diversity for the Inter-American Development Bank. And for those people who are perhaps not familiar with the bank, I hope you'll say a word or two of what it is.
Okay. Thank you very much for that introduction. Can folks hear me well? So the Inter-American Development Bank is the largest multilateral lender to governments in the region of Latin America. We lend for a number of things, be it infrastructure, social programs, and I have the honor and privilege of being a man in charge of a gender division. We also work on indigenous peoples issues and on Afro-descendant issues. When thinking about what to talk about, I took very seriously the charge that this is a session on innovation. And I could talk about the IDB's partnership with the private sector. We have a great initiative called Beyond Banking, which works with the banking sector to introduce concepts of gender equality in banking. We've got great initiatives on women's access to credit. But I want to tackle what I think is perhaps a more innovative area of our work, which is our work on violence against women. And this was a topic that was raised by a representative of Futures Without Violence. I want to talk about how serious the problem is in the Americas, some promising approaches, and some ideas, and I really look forward to your reaction of how the private sector can be an ally for governments and for multilateral banks in this area. So the numbers are staggering. Between 14 and 57% of women in Latin America and the Caribbean at some point in their lives have been victims of violence. These are solid numbers. They're not much different than they would be in other parts of the world. We know this has huge costs for women. We know this has huge costs for firms. A recent survey in Lima, Peru showed that 42% of firms, their human resource function, knew of cases of violence against women in the firm. If 42% knew, we suspect this is the tip of the iceberg. Of those HR departments, 82% said this had productivity cost for the firms, and that shouldn't be a surprise to anyone in this room. It also has costs for the economies. We've done some estimates in IDB suggesting that the growth costs may be between 1.6 and 2% of GDP, and it's an issue we need to tackle. So how do we tackle it? One way to tackle it is by setting up one-stop shops for women. We've done this recently in El Salvador, where we, in collaboration with the Salvadoran government, have established a Women's City program. It offers services to survivors of violence, but also offers sexual and reproductive health services. It offers entrepreneurship training, skills training, and so forth. It allows women to cut the cycle of violence by seeking economic empowerment. We also are working on community-based prevention, and that is working with men. There's been a lot of discussion of how do we work with men. This is working with young men because, frankly and depressingly, the men my age aren't going to change. But young men do change, and there's several successful programs in the Americas which target young men's behavioral change. The Brazilians present will know about programs H&M in Rio de Janeiro. It can be done. So what role can the private sector play here? I think there are very exciting ways the private sector can participate. One, in the one-stop shops. The private sector can let the public sector know where workers are needed. They can do demand reconnaissance. They can also offer, they can all come in and offer credit. In the Procter & Gamble in Colombia, through their program Pantin Pro Mujer, directly offered microcredit to women victims of violence. Finally, in the area of community prevention, the private sector can help with campaigns that change attitudes and behaviors. Not feel-good campaigns, but serious campaigns. The Ecuador flower growers did this in Ecuador. It can be reproduced elsewhere. So this is an invitation to think creatively about how public and private can work together on violence against women. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your remarks, particularly about the violence. It certainly is a topic that is front and center here at the UN right now, so thank you. Now we're going to hear from Yvette Burton, who's the Director of Human Capital Consulting Practice of Deloitte.
Thank you. I've been privileged. Can you hear me? Okay. I've been privileged to work with a lot of companies. Deloitte learns from our people, we learn from our customers, we learn from our community. And so I just wanted to share some high-level trends around the shift of business paradigms that we get to see around the world with companies that are investing in gender equality and inclusion. One is you see a shift in the end game, what that could be. It moves from a stay out of court modality to more of a what's the home court advantage. And you see these really robust examples of companies engaging their employee base. So not only just getting the talent, but optimize. You see a maturation of inclusion strategies. Companies moving from, and which maturation is contextual, but moving from an understanding of who they are, understanding what those differences are, and then harnessing those differences to make impact in civil society and also in the marketplace. You also see a greater granularity, and Deloitte is really good at this, a greater granularity in targeting or having targeted interventions in really what it takes to move the needle in the pipeline. So identifying the bottlenecks, looking at data-driven decision-making, and coming up with programs that target the level of individual, team, and organization. And finally, you see an increased movement, which is really exciting, that looks at beyond talent management. So yes, basic business hygiene, you've got to have, you got to have the numbers, you got to have the people engaged and on board. But it just isn't solely in talent anymore. We heard a lot of talk about supplier diversity. There's a lot of awesome supplier development initiatives where companies are collaborating to focus on small businesses and making them less transactional partners and more businesses, business partners. And so whether you see the Government Affairs Office helping or corporations impact geographies where even from a legal perspective, the laws are not on the side of their objectives around gender equality, you see greater, more of a holistic systems view in an organization. And also that doesn't stop at just functional walls, it goes beyond the walls of the organization. There's more innovative partnerships with community. And so I look forward to our dialogue and to questions about those areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think if we can get out of that mode that it's all just to keep out of court, we'd all be a lot better off, to tell you the truth. Thank you. Ms. Nur Gur, founder and CEO of Suteks Tekstil AS.
Yes, thank you. Dear participants, dear WP members, dear guests, first of all, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to expand our business experience with you today, how we've involved in the women empowerment principles. Our company Suteks is 23 years old, and I'm 32 years old in business and garment manufacturing based in Istanbul, Turkey. I would like to start by really citing the founder of our state, Atatürk, for whom we are indebted. That is one of the earliest feminists of the 20th century, given women's rights to us earlier than maybe any other nations. And up to today, I believe our contemporary existence is due to his founding of our state. I'll start by one example, which is like yours, like the violence example. We face violence from within our company, and one of our employees were strongly facing a violence, up to a point that she was beaten and really hospitalized for a few months. And that afterwards, she was also threatened by her husband until to divorce. Psychologically and legally, we provided service to her, and not just to her, because we face several other examples, and she was sheltered in our company for a while before she get back to her normal job, and she's still happily working ever since. And this is showing an example that Suteks is really sort of a safe haven, literally and metaphorically, on day-to-day basis examples. We're dealing with each and every individual case as for what it needs to be in the company, and make sure that all the women stays active in the business life and in the society. But given the nature of our society, we are obliged to find unique solutions for each and every case. We are living in a paternalistic society, unfortunately, whereby woman is the largest minority discriminated. And so we created such a business environment that we neglect and reject this. And our motto is no quality without equality. So we reject the hierarchical atmosphere, and we reject the non-gender approach. And we create a totally democratic free speech atmosphere where he or she can express herself to the best. Everybody is encouraged to express their gender's assets, and that is leading to an ongoing synergy. So what are the support mechanisms in our company to keep on holding this? We are a labor-intensive technology, and our biggest value, and we believe that the highest investment is needed to do in human value. And as a corporate company, we believe that the highest return on investment is the investment that we do in human value. So when you give an opportunity and a freedom to the humane environment to your people, you will see how profitable and how happy a corporate environment you are creating with. And that our profit and our success is an end result of that. When you trust in your own people and give them the full opportunity and all the support mechanisms that I explained, then you really have a totally different environment. Okay, another tool which we give to our employees is the profit sharing system, which is unique in Turkey and probably quite unique, if we haven't heard, in the world, that we share a certain percentage of our profit with our own people. So if ever a society is not providing a gender equal atmosphere to its own people, we believe that it is the duty of the entrepreneur to provide this, not just for the sake of providing it, but to generate a very profitable and happy corporate atmosphere. This model, which we've created on our own, is just coming from the unprecedented example of mine, whom didn't really want that in the future women and workers and in our company did not go through what I've been going through as a black swan in the society. So this can be applied to any other company in any other society. You will see that you will have the full commitment of your team by gender. Believe me, it's very rewarding financially and inwardly. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Two of the points, first of all, I like the no quality. I thought that was really very good. But also the idea that if government isn't stepping forward on some of these issues, it is incumbent upon the employers of people to so that the employees can, in fact, be not only happy, but be very productive for the company. So thank you very much. Let's see, Anna, how about that now? Anna Paula Dacar, General Manager, Dow Coating Materials, Latin America.
Yeah. Well, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be invited once more for the WEBS event. And as a professional of one of the most acknowledged innovation industries in the world, the chemical industry, it's with great satisfaction that I acknowledge the inclusion of innovation as an important aspect of the debates around diversity. For those ones who are not familiar with Dow, we are a global chemical company that offers solutions in sectors such as food, culture, among others. Well, Dow in Brazil leads the Alliance for the Empowerment of Women, which gathers and academia, and is supported by GlobeWomen. And I have to thank you a lot, all the work that Rebecca is doing and his team is supporting us on the Alliance. We met on a monthly experience and measure our progress in gender diversity initiatives in our companies. Our fundamentals are based on webs. While being a chemical company, Dow relies on technology. Innovation is part of our day-to-day. However, to achieve the state-of-the-art in innovation, we need not only the most modern technologies, but we need a great and diverse team of people. Well, Dow's vision about the relationship between diversity and innovation becomes clear as we hear to what our CEO, Andrew Levers, once said. There is no denying the power of a diverse team of people working collaboratively to solve a problem. Their creative energy combined with their ability to see problems to multiple lenses is a catalyst to breakthrough solutions and innovation. And this brings me to another point that is leadership commitment. Because all this journey is not easy, and a common challenge that companies may face to get innovation diverse off the ground is the lack of leadership support. Have a committed team and leaders in the first step towards a diverse and innovative environment. Another challenge that can be faced is the fact that innovation tends to get people out of their comfort zone. The success of innovation will only be achieved when it becomes part of the company's culture. And the success that we achieve in our company is because we have the 2 points that I mentioned before. One is leadership commitment, and also is that we have been talking about diversity and inclusion for several years, and this is what is built in our culture. I'd like to mention 2 examples of how this has impacted also in our results. In Latin America, the percentage of women has increased significantly since 2009, and also the number of women in leadership position happened the same. And if you take a look in our results since that time, we have been facing several positive results due to that. Another example is that we have an innovation award, and last year among 125 projects that were in the company on this innovation award, 7 projects, and on these teams, most of them, there was equal participation of women and men. So I'm sure that diversity contributes a lot with results. Well, back to the Alliance, that is a very important work that we have been doing leading in Brazil. Dow and the other companies realize that the achievements we are having in gender diversity need to be shared externally, which is exactly the proposal of the Alliance from now on. To this group, we want to disseminate our best practices and contribute to a more inclusive work and environment in Brazil. And also, we are focused on expanding geographically. Dow is a global company as well as others that participate in Alliance, and we believe that we have a role in terms of expanding what we are doing in Brazil to other countries in Latin America. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure other people from other countries will be around to talk to you about that. But I think the point about leadership, which we've talked about a great deal, is really a very critical point, and is part of why the awards are being given, is that there has been leadership from the top as well, because it's hard to sustain if that doesn't exist. Well, thank you very much. Burcu, Türkay, I think I got that right.
Yes, you did.
I had a small help with pronunciation beforehand.
You did a great job, don't worry.
Is the corporate communications specialist at Borusan Holding in Istanbul. And you have a PowerPoint, do you, or not?
Yes, I do. I have 2 slides.
Okay, do you want to stand here then? Do you need to?
No, it's fine.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I would like to thank UN Global Compacts and UN WEBs for inviting us here for this great opportunity. I would like to first talk about, describe you my company, Borusan Holding. Well, I was thinking on how to describe the company, except saying that, well, it's an almost 70-year-old company. It has almost 6,500 employees. It's rapidly growing in every sector that's involved in. It became a global player in the world market through its group companies in steel, logistics, energy, and distributorship. But besides all that, today we were talking about millennial. I'm 28 years old, a woman, and I'm a millennial. I'm a human rights defender and an activist. And I'm the project director of the corporate social responsibility of Borusan Holding. So I think me sitting here in this panel with all of you, it clearly shows Borusan's vision and how the company fulfills all these 7 principles by letting me speak here and be with all of you. So that's who we are, who Borusan is. And if we look at how we do things, it's a rapidly changing world. It's a highly competitive world out there, and Borusan want to be among these competitors. So we need innovation. We need new products, new services, and that's what we invest in. We invest in innovation. We take innovation as our duty. We think innovation as part of our business culture, and we think that we can serve our country best for integrating innovation in our daily life. Our founder, late Asım Kocabıyık, always said that, I quote, "I owe to my country, and I worked my whole life to pay back to my country." So this lies in our corporate social responsibility understanding. We believe in individuals. We believe that individuals matter. And we believe that supporting individuals is very important. And therefore, we signed UN Global Compacts and the UN Women's Empowerment Principles in late years. And now, actually, I know Margaret is telling me that I have 1 minute left, but I would like to talk to you about our corporate social responsibility project. My mom's job is my future. And first of all, I would like to start, well, there you go. It's my mom's job is my future. Why Borusan wanted a corporate social responsibility such as that? Well, we're a Turkish company. And if we look at Turkey nowadays, we can see that it has a successful growth performance, and the government's target is to be one of the top 10 economies in the world. And if we want to be in the top 10 economies in the world, we need to have qualified, hardworking, and productive labor force. And if we look at the female labor force participation in Turkey, we see that the levels are very low. If I just cite some statistics, 28.8% of women are in the labor force. And out of that 28.8%, only 15% is working in the industry. And if you look at the statistics, oh, can we have the slide up for the statistics? Oh, great. And if we look at the number of unemployed women, it's 19.4 million unemployed women. It's more than some countries' population. And so we think that as if we want to be among the top 10 economies of the world, we need to have women in the labor force. We need to raise the women's empowerment, women's employment rate. And so Borusan had taken a step and said, well, we have a solution. And Borusan's solution was My Mom's Job is My Future campaign. What does the project say? Well, we said that when we look at other statistics, we said 40% of the women, they say, I can't go to work because I don't know where to leave my children. I need childcare. So we thought, under My Mom's Job is My Future campaign, we can build childcare facilities in 10 different cities in 10 different organized industrial zones for the children aged between 0 and 6. So when the mother goes to the factory in the organized industrial zone, she can take her children to the factory and leave the children in the childcare facilities. And then when she leaves work, she can take the children, pick up the children from the childcare facilities and then go home. So with this project, we aim to increase women's employment rate. And we think that we can abolish the barriers in front of women's employment. And also we provide preschool education to children. So I guess I need to wrap up, okay? Well, if you have questions about the project, I'd like to talk more about the childcare facilities that we are.
Toy factories?
Yes. Just.
I like the name.
Yes. Why did we call Borusan Joy Factories? The reason why they're called Joy Factories is because in Turkey, organized industrial zones house small and medium enterprises in developing cities. And when you enter an organized, I don't know how many of you have did that, it's all factories. When you walk, you can see a plastic factory over there, a textile factory, and an apparel factory. And then we imagine that if you enter that zone, you will see a joy factory where, you know, it's colorful and when you can have your children safely playing there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Actually, this whole question about the childcare, I was so glad at the end you mentioned the importance of preschool education for children, because that too is your future workforce along the way there. Well, Irene Natividad, if you've ever been to any meeting about the empowerment of women, probably Irene Natividad has been there as one of the major speakers and someone who has been following these issues for a very long time. She's the founder and president of GlobeWomen Incorporated, and I know you have a PowerPoint too, Irene. Is this right? So do you want to speak from there or from here?
Yeah, I'll stand up. I'm short, so I want you all to see me. So as the last speaker on the last panel, put down those things, all right? Okay, I'm speaking to you today as chair of Corporate Women Directors International. That's the research arm of the Global Summit of Women that's now 23 years old. And for 16 years, we have been tracking women on corporate boards globally. We've now issued 21 reports, the last one last week at the World Bank, on women on the boards of the Fortune Global 200, the 200 largest companies in the world that are based in 26 countries. So it gives you a picture of where women are in corporate leadership. So you say, well, why are you paying attention to that? Well, it is a top-down strategy. The hope being that if you put more women on corporate boards, that it somehow leadership will trickle down, will go down to senior management where there's still few women, and perhaps we could counter the bottom-up strategy that presumed that if you put more women in the workforce, if you train them enough, that somehow they will rise to the top. It didn't happen. So what I want to talk to you about are the innovations that countries have configured in order to increase the number of women on boards. So slide, please. The first one are quotas. And you've heard of this, and everybody hates that word. I want you to know that there is no country where the private sector loved the word quota, let alone women of achievement who said, ooh, not me. I am not a quota person. But here's the interesting thing. There is momentum, primarily driven by European countries. It began in Norway, which many of you know. 40% of board seats must be held by women in 2 years. If you don't, if you're a company that doesn't do that, you will be dissolved. It didn't happen. So no company was dissolved, but the quota happened. So now Norway has 40% board seats. And then it was followed by Spain, by Iceland, by France. I can't read it. No, don't move it yet. Go back. Okay. To Malaysia, Italy, the Netherlands. You have got to be kidding. Malaysia is the first Muslim-dominated country in which there is a quota, and it was announced by the Prime Minister himself. When you look at state-owned companies, companies in which the government has a major holding, look at the number of countries. The most recent is the UAE, United Arab Emirates, where the government recently decided that there must be women now on the boards of state-owned companies. This is now leaping over borders. Brazil, here in great numbers. There is a quota being proposed in Brazil, as well as several other countries. There are now 18 total When we began tracking, there weren't that many countries using the quota strategy. So the question is, does it work? Slide, please. Yes, it does. Not only are there more countries, not only is it leaping over borders, look at the numbers. And the one I want to point out to you, we already know about Norway, is France. France went from 6% in 2004, and currently 25% of board seats in the largest companies is now made up of women. For the first time in our recent report, France topped the US in being the country with the highest percentage of women on corporate boards. And this happened within only a few years. 2009, lower house passed it. 2011, the Senate passed it. So within 1 year, we're now at 25% compared to the US at 20.9%, which is the percentage for the largest companies. If you went to the Fortune 500 companies, it's only 16.6, where we've been stuck for more than 5 years. Now, not everybody loves quotas, so there is a private sector strategy that has mushroomed, and it is including board diversity or gender diversity into the corporate governance code of several countries. Most of the time, it's just a recommendation. What does that mean? It means that board diversity is now seen as a necessary component of good corporate governance. Does it work? Slide, please. No, not that one. Okay, that one. Finland was the first country that had this, and they made it a requirement, not a recommendation. So look what happened. In 2000, now they are at 22% of board seats held by women. And and they were very proud to tell me that they did it without a quota. Okay? This is private sector driven. Now, some corporate governance councils are housed in changes. So the third innovation I want to share with you is that now making board diversity a listing requirement. It means you must disclose, as Liz Broderick mentioned before. And so, as she showed you,
could you
15,
wrap up after
I am
that?
wrapping up. Okay, here's the deal. Quotas work. Board diversity language in corporate work. Listing requirements in stock exchanges work. It doesn't work. It's not doing anything and thinking that women are naturally to the top. There is nothing natural about corporate leadership.